Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Introduction. Fog rolling over Roanoke Island, eerie whispers in the background, a lone torch flickering in the darkness. Dramatic tone. A colony vanished. Over 100 men, women, and children. Gone. No bodies, no signs of struggle. Only one clue left behind, carved into a tree. Croatoan. For over 4 centuries, historians and archaeologists have searched for answers. Could we finally be close to solving America's greatest unsolved mystery? Cut to montage, old maps, ships arriving, settlers building homes, then sudden fade to an abandoned settlement. In this video, we'll journey back to 1587, to the very beginnings of England's first attempt at settling the New World. We'll uncover the events leading up to the colony's disappearance, explore the most compelling theories, from Native American alliances to deadly conspiracies, and examine the latest discoveries that could finally crack the case. Dramatic pause, then a close-up of Croatoan carved into a tree. What does it mean? And what really happened to the lost colonists of Roanoke? Let's find out. The beginnings of Roanoke. Opening shot. A vast ocean. A wooden English ship sailing across the Atlantic as waves crash against the hull. The Age of Exploration. England's race for the New World. Narrator. The late 16th century was an era of fierce competition. Spain and Portugal had already established vast empires in the Americas, reaping the rewards of gold, land, and trade. England, eager to expand its influence, set its sights on the New World. But rather than seeking riches alone, England had another goal: establishing a permanent colony. Cut to Queen Elizabeth I on her throne, maps of the Americas spread before her. Sir Walter Raleigh and the vision for Roanoke. Narrator. Enter Sir Walter Raleigh, an ambitious explorer and close confidant of Queen Elizabeth I. In 1584, he was granted a royal charter to establish an English settlement in North America. His mission? To create a foothold that could challenge Spain's dominance and serve as a base for privateers attacking Spanish ships. Overlay. A map showing Roanoke Island, marked as a prime location. Narrator. Raleigh's men identified a promising site, Roanoke Island, off the coast of present-day North Carolina. It was strategically located, offering protection from Spanish forces and access to natural resources. But the dream of an English colony would prove far more difficult than expected. The 1585 expedition, first attempt and harsh realities, cut to English soldiers and settlers building crude wooden houses, struggling in the swamplands. Narrator. The first group of settlers arrived in 1585 under the command of Sir Richard Grenville. Though they built a small fort, their early days were plagued with difficulties. They faced food shortages, strained relations with local Native American tribes, and the harsh realities of an untamed wilderness. Montage: colonists hunting, struggling with disease, arguing with local tribes. Narrator. With tensions rising, the colony barely lasted a year. When English explorer Sir Francis Drake arrived in 1586, many of the starving and desperate settlers abandoned Roanoke and returned to England. But England wasn't ready to give up just yet. The 1587 expedition, a second chance with John White, scene transition, a new fleet of English ships departing from England in 1587. Narrator. In 1587, a second expedition was launched, this time under the leadership of Governor John White. This new group of 115 settlers was different. It wasn't just soldiers and adventurers. This time, entire families had come, hoping to build a new life in the Americas. Dramatic pause as an Englishwoman holds her young child while looking out over the sea. Narrator. Among them was John White's own daughter, Eleanor Dare, who would soon give birth to the first English child born in the New World, Virginia Dare. It seemed like the colony had a chance at success. But fate had other plans. Cut to settlers unloading supplies, setting up homes, hopeful yet unaware of the dangers ahead. Narrator. This was the beginning of what should have been England's first permanent settlement in America, but within Just 3 years, Roanoke would become one of the greatest unsolved mysteries in history. This section keeps the pacing engaging while laying the groundwork for the mystery to come. Let me know if you'd like any adjustments. The colony's mysterious disappearance. Opening shot, a stormy sea, John White looking out from the deck of a ship as England fades into the distance. John White's return to England and the Spanish Armada narrator. Just months after the new settlers arrived, Governor John White was forced to sail back to England for much-needed supplies. The colony was struggling, food was scarce, and tensions with local tribes were high. But White's mission to return quickly was interrupted by a crisis that would change everything. Cut to warships clashing on the sea, cannons firing, smoke rising. Narrator. In 1588, England found itself at war with Spain. The mighty Spanish Armada threatened English shores, and Queen Elizabeth Theron ordered all available ships, including those White hoped to use to defend the nation. White was stranded in England for 3 long years. 1590. White's return and the shocking discovery cut to a ship approaching the shores of Roanoke in 1590, White anxiously scanning the island. Narrator. When John White finally returned in 1590, he expected to find a struggling but surviving colony. Instead, he found nothing. Cinematic shots, empty houses, overgrown pathways, eerie silence. Narrator. The settlement was completely abandoned. There were no bodies, no signs of a battle, no indication of what had happened, except for one cryptic clue. Slow zoom in on a tree with the word Croatoan deeply carved into it. Narrator. The only message left behind was a single word carved into a tree. Croatoan. It was the name of a nearby island and a friendly Native American tribe. But there was no cross or distress signal, which White had told the settlers to leave behind if they were in danger. Theories at the time: massacre, starvation, or relocation. Cut to John White pacing, speaking with his crew, looking toward the horizon. Narrator. White believed the colonists had moved to Croatoan Island, now called Hatteras Island, but a looming storm prevented him from searching further. Forced to turn back to England, he was never able to confirm their fate. Montage of historical documents and maps. Early speculation about the colony's fate. Narrator. At the time, theories ranged from a massacre by hostile tribes to death by starvation. Others believed the settlers had abandoned Roanoke and relocated elsewhere. But without concrete evidence, the mystery of the lost colony would endure for centuries. Theories and explanations. Integration with native tribes. Cut to a native. American settlement with people working, cooking, and trading. Narrator. One of the most widely accepted theories is that the colonists didn't perish, they adapted. Some historians believe they sought refuge with the Croatoan tribe, integrating into their society. Evidence of migration to the Croatoan, Hatteras tribe. Showcase of old maps with Croatoan marked, alongside historical texts referencing English. Settlers living among Native Americans. Narrator. There are several pieces of evidence supporting this theory. The Croatoan people had been friendly toward the English in earlier expeditions, and oral histories from Native American tribes mention the presence of European settlers among them. Artifacts and European influence. Cut to archaeologists uncovering European artifacts in Native American settlements. Narrator. Archaeologists have discovered European tools, pottery, and weapons in Native American sites that date back to the late 1500s. Some of these items could have been traded, but others suggest long-term cohabitation. DNA testing and mixed ancestry show modern researchers analyzing genetic data. Narrator. More recently, efforts to analyze DNA from present-day descendants of the Croatoan and other local tribes have found possible traces of European ancestry. Could this be the final proof that the lost colonists of Roanoke became part of Native American communities? The evidence is compelling, but the full story remains elusive. Cut to a dramatic pause, an overhead shot of Roanoke Island fading into mist. Narrator. So, did the settlers assimilate with the Croatoan, or is there another explanation waiting to be uncovered? Let's explore more theories. Spanish attack, opening shot, A fleet of Spanish warships approaching the Atlantic coast, ominous music playing. Narrator. During the late 16th century, Spain and England were bitter enemies, locked in a global struggle for dominance. Spain had already established powerful colonies in the Americas, and the English settlement at Roanoke threatened their control. Could the Spanish have wiped out the colony? Cut to a historical map showing Spanish-controlled Florida and their naval presence near the Carolinas. Narrator. We know that Spanish forces were active along the southeastern coast of North America, attacking rival settlements. In fact, Spanish records from the time mention the possibility of eliminating the Roanoke colony. But strangely, no physical evidence of an attack, such as destroyed buildings or mass graves, has ever been found. Slow zoom in on the word Croatoan. Narrator. If the Spanish had attacked, why would the colonists leave behind a message referencing a Native American tribe? While the theory remains plausible given the geopolitical tensions, historians still debate whether the Spanish were truly involved. Starvation and disease. Cut to a harsh winter scene. Settlers struggling to find food, weak and malnourished. Narrator. The New World was unforgiving. Unlike the fertile lands of England, Roanoke offered little in terms of reliable food sources. The settlers were ill-prepared, and their supplies were limited. Could they have simply starved to death? Montage. Colonists fishing, hunting, struggling with poor soil conditions. Narrator. There is no record of a sustained agricultural effort, and relations with local tribes were tense, limiting trade opportunities. Disease was also a deadly threat. The damp environment, lack of medicine, and possible exposure to new illnesses could have led to a slow, tragic demise. Overlay. 16th century medical illustrations of diseases like dysentery and scurvy. Narrator. Some historians believe that starvation and illness might have forced survivors to scatter, seeking help from nearby tribes. If so, it would explain why no mass grave or remains have ever been found. Supernatural and unusual theories. Cut to a dark forest, eerie whispers in the background, a full moon casting shadows. The Curse of Roanoke. Narrator. Legends surrounding. Roanoke have taken on a life of their own. Some Native American stories speak of a curse that doomed the settlers, cast by spirits angered by the arrival of the English. Could there be any truth to these ancient warnings? Alien abduction theories and pop culture. Cut to a grainy black and white image of the word Croatoan with a UFO photoshopped above it as a joke. Narrator, playfully. Of course, no great historical mystery is complete without an alien theory. Some conspiracy theorists claim that the settlers of Roanoke were abducted by extraterrestrials, vanishing without a trace. While there's no evidence to support this, the idea has inspired countless works of fiction. Time travel and paranormal theories. Cut to a scene from a sci-fi movie, portals opening in the sky. Narrator. Others believe that the Roanoke settlers somehow slipped through time, becoming lost in history itself. Whether through supernatural forces or mysterious disappearances, the legend of Roanoke continues to inspire the wildest of theories. The Dare stones and hoaxes. Cut to an old, weathered stone with strange carvings. The discovery of the Dare stones. Narrator. In the 1930s, a series of engraved stones surfaced, allegedly left behind by Eleanor Dare, John White's daughter. The Gaum? Inscriptions claim to tell the fate of the lost colonists, detailing their struggles and eventual deaths. Overlay. Close-ups of the carved inscriptions, dramatic readings of their messages. Narrator. For a time, the Dare stones were considered a breakthrough, but skepticism grew when more stones were discovered, each more dramatic than the last. Modern archaeology and the hoax unveiling, cut to experts analyzing the stones in a laboratory. Narrator. Eventually, researchers determined that most, if not all, of the stones were hoaxes, likely created to profit off the Roanoke legend. Still, some argue that the first stone might be genuine. If so, could it hold a clue to what really happened? Recent findings and scientific investigations. Cut to A team of modern archaeologists on Hatteras Island, scanning the ground with high-tech equipment. New archaeological evidence on Hatteras Island. Narrator. In recent years, excavations on Hatteras Island, the area formerly known as Croatoan, have uncovered tantalizing clues. European artifacts, including a sword hilt, writing tools, and fragments of English pottery, suggest that some settlers may have lived among the Croatoan people. Montage. Researchers analyzing findings, piecing together fragments of history. 21st century technology in the search. Cut to drones flying over Roanoke. LiDAR scanning forests. Scientists collecting DNA samples. Narrator. Today's technology is revealing more than ever before. LiDAR scanning allows experts to detect hidden structures beneath the soil, while DNA testing of Native American descendants might provide the final proof that Roanoke settlers survived by integrating with local tribes. What experts say today. Cut to interviews with modern historians and archaeologists. Narrator. While the mystery isn't fully solved, many experts now believe that at least some Roanoke settlers survived, whether through integration with native Chi tribes or by relocating further inland. The search for definitive proof continues, but we are closer than ever to uncovering the truth. Cultural impact and legacy. Montage. Books, movies, and TV shows depicting the Roanoke mystery. The mystery in popular culture. Narrator. Roanoke's disappearance has captivated storytellers for centuries. From historical novels to horror films, the legend has taken on a life of its own. Cut to clips from American Horror Story, Roanoke. Narrator. One of the most famous modern interpretations is American Horror Story Roanoke, which blends history with supernatural horror. But this is just one of many fictional takes on the colony's fate. Why Roanoke still captivates us. Slow zoom out of Roanoke Island, fading into the mist. Narrator. Perhaps the true power of the Roanoke mystery lies in its uncertainty. It forces us to question history, challenge assumptions, and imagine the impossible. And until the final piece of evidence is uncovered, the fate of the lost colony will remain one of the greatest unsolved mysteries of all time. Closing scene, final shot. The word Croatoan fades away, leaving only silence. Narrator. So, what do you think happened to the lost colony of Roanoke? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more historical mysteries. Conclusion and final thoughts. Opening shot. A slow aerial view of Roanoke Island at sunset, waves lapping against the shore as the word Croatoan fades in and out on screen. Recap of major theories. Narrator. For over 400 years, the fate of the lost colony of Roanoke has remained one of the greatest mysteries in American history. We've explored the leading theories. Quick flashback montage, John White discovering the abandoned colony, a Spanish warship on the horizon, starving settlers, Native American integration, eerie folklore. Narrator. Did the settlers integrate with the Croatoan tribe? Were they wiped out by a Spanish attack? Did disease and starvation force them to scatter? Or is there something more mysterious at play? The most likely explanation based on current evidence. Cut to a researcher examining European artifacts found on Hatteras Island, overlaying maps of Roanoke and Croatoan. Narrator. Based on the latest archaeological findings, the most plausible theory is that the colonists moved to Hatteras Island, joining the Croatoan people. European tools, pottery, and even possible DNA evidence suggest that at least some of the settlers survived by adapting to a new way of life. Overlay. A split-screen comparison of 16th century English artifacts and similar objects found in native settlements. Narrator. Yet, no single piece of evidence has fully solved the mystery. Could more clues still be out there, waiting to be discovered? Ask the audience. What do you think happened? Cut to a question appearing on screen. What do you think happened to the lost colony of Roanoke? Narrator. Now, we turn it over to you. Do you think the settlers successfully integrated with native tribes? Or do you believe a darker fate awaited them? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear your theories. Tease the next video, cut to an eerie, fog-covered forest, a ghostly figure walking in the distance. Narrator: if you enjoyed unraveling this mystery, you won't want to miss our next video, What Happened to the Jamestown Settlers? While Roanoke vanished without a trace, Jamestown faced its own terrifying struggles: famine, war, and even cannibalism. Stay tuned. Final shot. The words "subscribe for more" appear as the screen fades to black. Call to action engagement prompt. Ask viewers to comment their theories. Subscription. Hook. Tease future historical mysteries. Next video preview. Create a seamless transition into the Jamestown topic. This conclusion keeps viewers engaged while reinforcing the mystery. Let me know if you want any final adjustments before you start production.